Revealed, my daughter-in-law's mysterious drink led to an incredible 5-minute transformation. Ellen stood in her tiny bakery, the morning light spilling through the window like golden syrup over the fresh pastries lining the display. The scent of buttery croissants and sweet cinnamon rolls wafted into the air, wrapping the quaint Midwestern town in the embrace of homemade goodness, but inside, her heart felt heavy. The debts were piling up, and her worries etched lines on her forehead deeper than ever. As she kneaded the dough, she felt the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. Could she really make this work? Could she give Tyler the future he deserved? And then there was Tyler. At 15, he was trying to carve his own path, caught in the tangled feelings of adolescence. Ellen noticed his mood swings, the glimmer in his eyes when he talked about Olivia, his college sweetheart. She wanted to be happy for him, truly, but Olivia came from money a world Ellen feared was too far removed from their humble life. As their new romance blossomed, the whispered gossip from neighbors stung like a swarm of bees. What did Olivia truly know about struggle? One evening, amidst the palpable tension, Tyler brought Olivia home. Ellen's protective instincts flared, worried that the bright-eyed girl would be oblivious to their daily grind. But as Olivia introduced a colorful, mysterious herbal drink, promising it had helped her family through tough times, Ellen's skepticism turned to curiosity. Maybe it was worth a shot. Desperate for a spark, she hesitantly sipped. Just a few minutes later, everything shifted. Confidence surged through her veins like a tidal wave, obliterating self-doubt. She felt alive, ignited by a fire she thought had extinguished. In those moments, Ellen's mind raced with ideas. She would rally the community for local projects, find ways to uplift families like hers. With unwavering resolve, she'd bridge gaps they knew too well, surrounded by others who understood this struggle, yet, the transformation came with its own brand of chaos. Olivia's presence began to evoke jealousy, harsh words threatening to break their fragile bond. How could Ellen reconcile the privilege Olivia represented with the grit she'd worked so hard to achieve? They faced each other, tensions high as they let loose, fighting over their misunderstandings. It was raw and volatile, but hidden beneath the animosity was a flicker of empathy. Just as it seemed they might break apart for good, Olivia revealed a painful truth about her family's past. The weight of her own hardships hung in the air, leaving Ellen reeling. Everything she thought she understood about privilege shifted like quicksand beneath her. Could they find common ground amidst their differences? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The air was thick with uncertainty, but the potential for understanding flickered like a candle in the dark. Ellen fought against her assumptions, aching to connect to realize that all families, rich or poor, battle their own demons. Would she allow this chance at connection to slip through her fingers, or could they carve a new path together? With every heartbeat, hope intertwining with anxiety, Ellen knew that whatever came next had the power to change everything. Would they find a way to embrace the hidden struggles that knit them together? Ellen stood in the midst of the baker's warmth, still shaken by Olivia's revelation. The scent of pastries hung heavily in the air, but it was the weight of Olivia's past that pressed against her chest like a stone. Understanding washed over her like a tide, reshaping her feelings of jealousy into something tender. Here they were, both members of different worlds, yet shackled by their own battles. Tyler entered the bakery, his face beaming with youthful enthusiasm as he carried a stack of flyers for an upcoming community event. "Mom, we need to push for more donations. They said we can use my school auditorium for the bake sale." His excitement was infectious, a bright spark against the dim cloud forming over Ellen's heart. She smiled, the weight lifting momentarily. "That's perfect, honey. We can promote the new pastries I've been working on. But mimicking the energy in Tyler's voice felt like lifting weights. The thought of Olivia being intertwined in this endeavor made her feel queasy. What if they found out her secret? What if they realized that this world of hers, built on hard work and grit, clashed with the glittering life Olivia seemed to represent? "I'll help you with the flyers, too." Tyler was already rummaging through the supplies while he spoke. Ellen's hesitation remained, but something within her stirred. Maybe it was time to confront her fears directly. "Tyler, I think it's important we involve Olivia in this. In fact, maybe I should approach her about helping us." An expression of surprise flickered across Tyler's face. "Really? You think she'd want to? Why wouldn't she?" Ellen responded, trying to keep her voice steady. Deep inside, she knew this was a turning point. They had to move beyond the misunderstandings, or risk being forever trapped in them. Later that afternoon, Ellen dialed Olivia's number, her fingers trembling slightly. When Olivia answered, her voice was warm and inviting, a stark contrast to the uneasiness Ellen felt. "Ellen. I was just thinking about you." "Hi, Olivia," Ellen said, her heart racing. "I wanted to talk about the bake sale, especially about getting you involved. Would you like to help?" Silence fell, but it didn't feel heavy. It felt curious. "I'd love that. I was hoping to do something for the community, too. My family always emphasized giving back, so maybe I can bring some of my ideas to the table?" Ellen felt the tension in her shoulders relax, easing just a touch. "Great. Let us meet at the bakery tomorrow?" "Absolutely," Olivia exclaimed, her enthusiasm tangible even over the phone. That night, Ellen fell into a restless sleep filled with dreams of flour, sugar, and the sound of laughter mixing in the air. She awoke with a renewed spark, clenched fists preparing for the challenges ahead. Together, they could make this event something more than just a sale. It could be a rallying point, a celebration of their community. As they set to work the next day, Ellen couldn't shake the feeling that change was afoot. Something was blossoming beyond the bakery, a chance to intertwine their lives, the struggles of their pasts melding into something fresh and beautiful. But when they gathered to brainstorm ideas, an unexpected visitor arrived, one whose presence threatened to unravel everything they'd fought to build. The doorbell jingled, and Ellen glanced up just as the visitor stepped over the threshold, a familiar sneer darkening their face. Would old grudges reignite and shatter the fragile bond they were starting to forge? Ellen's heart pounded, her body tensing as she wondered how far they would have to go to hold on to this new connection. Would they be able to face the past together, or would it tear them apart just when they were beginning to find their footing? Ellen's stomach dropped as she recognized the figure in the doorway. It was Sarah, an old acquaintance from high school. The bitterness in Sarah's eyes spoke volumes, a history filled with unspoken words that hung heavily in the air. Ellen quickly glanced at Olivia, who wore a mask of confusion, trying to process the sudden tension that had assaulted the cozy bakery atmosphere. Ellen inhaled sharply and forced herself to stand tall. "Sarah," she said tightly, her voice betraying none of the turmoil churning inside her. "What brings you here?" "Just passing by," Sarah shot back, her gaze darting between Ellen and Olivia as if she were sizing them up. "I heard about the bake sale. Must be quite the community project for you, Ellen. Looks like you've found new friends." Her tone dripped with sarcasm. Ellen felt the heat rising to her cheeks. Olivia shifted uncomfortably beside her. "Yes, we're working hard to make this event special," Ellen replied, trying to keep her voice steady. Sarah's laugh was bitter. "A bake sale? How noble. Maybe if you had been more ambitious back in school, you'd have bigger dreams than this." The words sliced through Ellen's resolve. Memories rushed back, days of rejection, whispered insults in the hallways, a relentless wave of self-doubt that had followed her. But she also remembered the strength she had cultivated over the years. Her bakery was more than just pastries, it was a symbol of her perseverance. Before she could respond, Olivia gently placed her hand on Ellen's arm. "Actually, Ellen is doing something really important for our community. It's not just about baking, it's about bringing people together." Her voice was calm, but Ellen could feel the underlying determination in it. Sarah's expression shifted, a flicker of surprise betraying her tough exterior. "Oh, so you're the new golden girl in town, are you?" she challenged Olivia. "What do you know about this community?" Ellen's heart raced. Could Olivia handle this? The weight of two worlds colliding hung heavily above them. Olivia's eyes sparkled with defiance. "I know this town is filled with people who care about each other. They deserve more support, and I want to help." The tension hung thick in the air, but Ellen couldn't let the past dictate their future. She turned her body to face Sarah directly. "You don't have to understand our choices, Sarah, but you should respect our efforts. We're trying to make a difference, whether or not you choose to believe in it." For a moment, Sarah looked taken aback, but then her sneer returned, sharper than ever. "Good luck with that, then. Just don't expect me to contribute to your little play." With that, she turned on her heel and marched out of the bakery, the door slamming behind her, leaving an echo in the quiet that followed. Ellen felt an impulse to chase after her, to demand a change of heart, but the desire faded as Olivia spoke up. "You stood your ground," she said softly, something almost like admiration on her face. I can't let her dictate my life anymore," Ellen confessed, feeling both relieved and shaken. That felt like a lot more than just an argument. "Yeah, it was. But we can't let her come between us. This is our project, and we're stronger together," Olivia assured her, a new light in her voice. Ellen closed her eyes for a brief moment, absorbing that shared resolve. "You're right. We really can be a team." As they turned back to the table filled with their notes and ideas, Ellen was surprised by the surge of hope filling her heart. They still had work to do, and this was just the beginning of their unique collaboration, but deep down, Ellen knew that Sarah's presence wouldn't be the last of her worries. The past could be ruthless, and she wondered what other challenges might surface as they approached the bake sale. What shadows loomed over their new partnership? Were they truly ready to face whatever came next? Her thoughts tangled with a mix of excitement and fear, as she glanced at Olivia, uncertainty swirling between them. The preparation had only just begun, and they both sensed the testing of their bond was far from over. Ellen took a deep breath, trying to shake off the lingering tension. The warmth of the bakery felt soothing but too fragile after Sarah's abrupt departure. She busied herself with ingredients, measuring flour and sugar, letting the routine ease her back into focus. "How about we try that new recipe for lemon bars?" Olivia suggested, peering over the counter with a hopeful smile. "Lemon bars it is," Ellen replied, grateful for the distraction. She grabbed the lemons from the basket, their bright yellow skin practically glowing against the darker wood of the table. The scent filled the air, fresh and tart. Olivia began sifting the flour. "You know, I think Sarah's only acting out because she feels threatened. She sees you doing something great and I don't know, maybe envious?" Ellen paused, knife poised over a lemon. Could that really be true? The Sarah she'd known had always thrived on being the center of attention, and now she was watchful, defensive, like a cat cornered by a dog. "Maybe," Ellen conceded slowly. "But I can't let her jealousy become my problem." Olivia looked at her, surprised. "Ellen, this isn't just about her. It's about you, your past. You survived high school, and now you're creating something beautiful here. You can't let her words drag you back to those feelings." Ellen's chest tightened. The sting of Sarah's taunts echoed in her mind. "Every time I think I've moved on, she shows up to remind me of who I used to be." "Then show her who you are now. You're not the same person who walked those high school halls," Olivia encouraged, her eyes sparkling with determination. Ellen felt that familiar rush of courage return. She knew she had changed, but so had her resolve. Together, they measured and mixed, laughter bubbling in between tasks. The familiar rhythm of the kitchen calmed her spirit until the vibrant aroma of the baking lemon bars filled the room, transforming the previously tense atmosphere. As they waited for the bars to set, Ellen glanced at Olivia, who was busy pressing sprinkles of sugar over the surface of a batch of cookies. "You know, I never expected to find a partner in all of this," she admitted. "I thought I'd be working alone, like all those years." "Just think of how much we can accomplish together," Olivia said with a soft smile. "You have so much to offer. I believe in what we're doing." Ellen felt warmth bloom in her chest. The truth washed over her. She wasn't alone anymore. With Olivia by her side, she could push through any negativity, tackle whatever challenges lay ahead, even if it came from the shadows of her past. Their joyful work was interrupted by the jingle of the doorbell, drawing their attention. A couple of familiar faces stepped in, neighbors who often stopped by for fresh pastries. A friendly wave brought Ellen back. "Hey, ladies. Smells amazing in here. What are you baking today?" one of them called, as they walked in, their smiles lighting up the room. "Just a little bake sale preparation," Ellen replied, the tension easing away. The conversations flowed, filling the bakery with chatter and warmth. As the laughter echoed around her, Ellen felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was her community, a different one than before, one that celebrated connection rather than division. She was truly beginning to build something meaningful, with a partner who shared her dream. Then, out of the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of someone watching from outside. Sarah, leaning against a lamppost, arms crossed and fuming. Ellen's heart sank. The moment felt heavy, like the storm clouds brewing in the distance. What could Sarah do next? Ellen felt a wave of uncertainty wash over her once more. Would this be the last time she let the past interfere? Or was Sarah only biding her time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike? The air felt charged, and Ellen realized the bake sale was suddenly becoming more than just a community event. It was about claiming her narrative. Ellen took a step toward the door, heart racing. Was she prepared to face Sarah again? Ellen's pulse quickened as she approached the door. She took a deep breath, the scent of lemons and sugar filling her lungs, grounding her. This was her space now, a sanctuary where doubt and fear should hold no power. As she swung the door open, a gust of cool air met her, contrasting sharply with the warmth inside. Sarah stood there, her arms crossed tighter now, the hard line of her jaw betraying any hint of softness. Ellen squared her shoulders, ready to confront the storm. "Ellen," Sarah began, her tone edged with an uncomfortable mix of anger and something else. "Was it vulnerability? I didn't know you'd be so successful." The word successful dripped with sarcasm, and Ellen felt a flicker of defiance spark to life. "Are you here to talk, or just to pass judgment?" Ellen shot back, surprising herself with the strength in her voice. "I've moved on, and you should too." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "You think you can just ignore everything? It's not that easy." Ellen took a step forward, her hands trembling slightly but fueled by the surge of courage. "You don't get to define me anymore, Sarah. Those days are behind us. I'm not that scared girl you once bullied. I'm building something real here, something that matters." A flicker of pain crossed Sarah's face, quickly masked by her practiced scowl. "What if I told you I wasn't just jealous? What if I said I'm scared? Scared of losing what little friendship we had left?" Ellen hesitated. This was a side of Sarah she hadn't seen in years, raw and exposed. For a moment, she felt the walls between them begin to crack. "Then maybe we need to talk honestly," she said, softer now, sensing an opportunity to bridge the gap instead of widen it. "Honesty?" Sarah scoffed, but her bravado was fading. "How can we be honest when you've built your life on redefining yours without me? I didn't choose this divide, we did. But if we keep holding on to this past, we'll both lose." Silence hung heavy between them, charged with unspoken words. Ellen's heart raced, torn between resentment and a flicker of hope for reconnection. As Sarah shifted, her expression softened for just a moment, revealing a hint of regret. "I guess I just don't know how to be anyone but who I've always been. And I don't want to be who I used to be," Ellen replied firmly. "But I want to understand your struggle. Maybe we can start there?" That glimmer of vulnerability in Sarah's eyes was fleeting, but Ellen clung to it like a lifeline. She could feel the weight of their shared past, but also the possibility of something new. Before Sarah could respond, Olivia's voice called from the kitchen. "Ellen. Are the lemon bars ready?" The tension pulsed between them, thick and electric. Ellen glanced back toward the inviting warmth of her bakery, the laughter of neighbors mingling in the air. "They're fresh and ready. Maybe we can share some?" she suggested, stepping back a little, opening the door wider. The moment hung between them, like a fragile thread waiting for either to pull. Would Sarah take that step into the warmth, or would she retreat back into the shadows of their past? Ellen held her breath, unsure if she would see Sarah's next move. Was it a moment of reconciliation in the making, or simply a pause before another fight? Whatever it was, Ellen knew she was ready for the next chapter. What would Sarah choose? The bakery doors were wide open, warmed by the spirit of community and a chance for repair. Would they both walk through together, or would one remain outside, forever straddling the line of their shared history? Sarah hesitated at the threshold, the golden light spilling from the bakery like a warm invitation. The laughter and chatter inside felt vibrant and alive, a stark contrast to the weight in her chest. Ellen watched her intently, heart thumping like a drum in her ears, willing Sarah to step closer. After what felt like an eternity, the wall around Sarah's facade cracked just a little bit more. "Lemon bars?" She scoffed lightly, but the corners of her mouth twitched, fighting back a smile. "Yeah, I think you might like them," Ellen offered softly, relieved to find even the smallest flicker of light in Sarah's expression. Sarah took a tentative step forward, then another. "You really baked them yourself?" "Of course," Ellen replied, her smile blooming wider. "They're my favorite recipe. I can't not share them with an old friend, right?" The word friend felt heavy in the air. Was it just a label, or did it carry more weight now? As they entered the bakery, the aroma of fresh lemon permeated the air, enveloping them in sweetness. Olivia approached, beaming. "You made it. Come try these." She gestured excitedly to the tray of warm lemon bars. "Hey, Sarah." Olivia greeted, her eyes bright with innocence. "I heard you were coming." The simplicity of Olivia's joy sparked tension, but it was also magnetic. "Hey, kiddo," Sarah replied, her voice gaining warmth. Ellen watched the exchange, feeling a bittersweet longing for the bond they once shared. She caught herself wondering if it was too late to rekindle that friendship. Would stepping into the light with her bakery allow that connection to grow instead of wither? "Let us dig in." Olivia clapped her hands, breaking the momentary tension. She served everyone, and soon, the three of them were seated together at the small table. The first bite was heavenly. Ellen watched as Sarah took a cautious taste, her eyes widening in surprise. "Wow, this is actually really good." Ellen chuckled softly at the unexpected compliment. "Thanks. I've been practicing. It's all about the balance." "Seems like you've got life figured out," Sarah remarked, an edge of disbelief still lingering in her tone. "I'm still figuring it out. But I promise it's more fun with lemons and sugar," Ellen said, wanting to lighten the mood, and maybe a little less anger. Sarah looked down at the table, her expression shifting. "It's just hard sometimes, you know? Seeing you succeed when all I feel is lost." Ellen's heart softened. "Well, maybe we can create some new recipes together. Community is part of being successful, isn't it? Why not help each other?" Sarah raised her gaze slowly. "You'd want to work with me?" "Why not? We both have a passion for this, even if it's been buried." Sarah studied her, and for a moment, the bakery felt like a cocoon around them, safe and filled with possibility. Before she could respond, Olivia's laughter rang out, and both women turned to watch her dance around the room. It was infectious, and something inside Sarah cracked just a tad more. Maybe I would like that," she finally admitted, words catching slightly in her throat. Ellen felt exhilaration rush through her like a wave. "Great. Let us not let the past dictate our future." For the first time in a long while, there was a glimmer of hope. They could weave together their stories, ones both filled with mistakes and successes. But just as they started to feel a closer connection emerge, the door swung open, bringing with it a chill and the unmistakable scent of someone familiar. Ellen's heart plummeted as she saw a figure she hadn't expected. "Hello, ladies," her voice cut through the air, laced with a challenge that sent ripples of tension crashing through the bakery once more. What was coming next threatened to upend their fragile truce and dredge up old memories that none of them were ready to confront. Ellen turned slowly, her heart racing. The figure standing in the doorway was unmistakable. Jenna, the one person who could unravel any semblance of peace. Her eyes narrowed as she assessed the room, finally landing on Ellen with an unsettling smile. "What a pleasant surprise," Jenna said, her voice syrupy sweet, yet edged with something darker. "I didn't know you were back in town, Sarah." The moment hung thick with uncertainty. Sarah's shoulders stiffened, and Ellen could practically see the walls rising around her again, those protective barriers that had only just begun to crumble. "What are you doing here, Jenna?" Ellen managed, a hint of defiance in her tone. She could feel tension crackle around them as they all shifted nervously in their seats, the warmth of the bakery suddenly feeling chilly. "I came to check on old friends," Jenna replied, her gaze darting pointedly toward Sarah. "Things have changed so much since, well, you know." "Enough," Sarah blurted, cutting across Jenna's carefully calibrated tone. Her voice was steadier than Ellen expected, yet holding a tremor of emotion. "This isn't the time or place." Jenna raised an eyebrow, a smirk playing on her lips. "You think you can just walk back in here and pick up where you left off? It doesn't work that way, you know." Ellen's heart sank at the familiar dynamic unfolding, and nervousness creeping back in. Jenna had a way of twisting everything. She was the shadow in their sunlight. "We're allowed to move forward, Jenna," Ellen urged, keeping her tone measured. "We're all allowed to grow." Sarah clenched her fists on the table, her breath quickening. "Is that all you want to do? Stir the pot?" Jenna leaned against the doorframe, her posture relaxed, but the challenge in her eyes was unmistakable. "Oh, I just want to remind everyone of reality. Life isn't all lemon bars and laughter, ladies. Sometimes the past doesn't let go that easily." The clock on the wall ticked loudly, each second amplifying the thick tension in the air. Olivia, sensing the change, looked from face to face, confusion written all over her young features. "Can I have another lemon bar?" she piped up, attempting to lighten the mood. "Not now, Olivia," Sarah replied sharply, her anguish bubbling under the surface. Jenna's lips curled into a smirk as she caught the raw emotion in Sarah's voice. "See? It's already unraveling. Maybe it's just not meant to be, Sarah. Maybe you're just meant to watch from the sidelines." Ellen's heart pounded. She wanted to protect Sarah, to shield her from the cutting remarks. "You don't know what you're talking about," she spat back, the sparks of anger igniting. "Do I?" Jenna replied coolly. "Or am I just reminding all of us who we really are? Friends? Or just people pretending?" Sarah's expression turned vacant and Ellen's stomach dropped. She couldn't let Jenna win this time. "We're more than the past, Jenna. We have the power to change. To connect. Maybe you should learn that instead of trying to pull us down." For a heartbeat, the bakery fell silent. Sarah looked at Ellen, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. There was fear there, but also something else, maybe determination. "I'm tired of running," Sarah whispered, breaking the tension, her voice steadying as she turned to Jenna. "And I'm not afraid of you anymore." Ellen felt a swell of admiration. This was the woman who had just begun to step out from the shadows, a glimmer of strength dancing in her eyes, but Jenna laughed, the cruel sound slicing through the hope Ellen had begun to kindle. "Oh, sweet Sarah. You don't truly believe you can face me alone, do you?" The question hung in the air, heavy and foreboding, leaving them all in the grasp of uncertainty. What would happen next? Would Sarah stand firm, or would her newfound strength crumble under the weight of Jenna's challenge? Suddenly, the door swung open again, bringing in a bright gust of wind and a figure that sent shockwaves through all three women. Ellen's heart skipped as she recognized the newcomer. "Did someone say lemon bars?" A voice called out, filled with spontaneity and mischief. And with it came the chaos that would push their fragile connection to the brink. As the door swung open wider, the chilly air filled the bakery with an electric energy. The newcomer stepped in, casting a shadow that danced through the room. Ellen blinked, momentarily disoriented. The vibrant, bubbly woman grinned wide, oblivious to the tension that wrapped around the three like a tight cocoon. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything," she exclaimed, her laughter a warm beacon in the cold atmosphere. Ellen recognized her immediately. Maggie, a close friend from years past. They had shared countless laughs and memories, and Ellen suddenly felt a sense of relief wash over her like a wave. But then the reality of the situation hit her. Jenna's sharp gaze snapped to Maggie, and Ellen could see the shift in Jenna's demeanor. The smirk faded, replaced by a calculating expression. "Ah, another familiar face." "Just what we need," Jenna remarked, her voice dripping with thinly veiled sarcasm. "What do you have to add to this lovely reunion?" Maggie tilted her head, unfazed by Jenna's ice-cold welcome. "Well, for starters, I brought lemon bars." With a flourish, she plopped a colorful box on the table, the aroma wafting through the air. "I know how much Sarah loves them. Thought I'd de-surprise her." Sarah's expression softened, her fierce determination mingling with that familiar delight. Maggie had always known how to bring a smile to her face. Ellen wanted to cling to this moment, to hold it fast against the storm brewing around them. "Thanks, Maggie," Sarah murmured, a flicker of renewed warmth in her eyes as she reached for the box, but Jenna was having none of it. "You really chose a strange time to make a grand entrance," she said pointedly, crossing her arms. Her tone darkened. "You don't know what's happening here." Maggie looked between them, sensing the charged atmosphere but refusing to back down. "Looks like some old wounds are getting reopened, huh? I believe healing requires a good dose of sweetness." She nodded toward the box, her smile bright yet unwavering. Ellen felt a rush of gratitude toward Maggie. Perhaps this unexpected visit had come just in time to soothe the frayed edges of their struggle against Jenna's darkness. "Maybe Jenna needs some lemon bars, too," Ellen offered, trying to diffuse the intensity with a light jab. She could feel Sarah's tension easing slightly, the atmosphere becoming less like a battlefield. "Oh, how generous of you," Jenna retorted, raising an eyebrow, her voice low and mocking. "As if sugar can solve anything." "Maybe not, but it sure can soften the blows," Maggie countered cheerily, ignoring Jenna's barbs. She glanced at Ellen and winked, a silent communication passing between them like a pact. They would weather this together. Sarah took a deep breath, looking at Maggie and then back at Jenna. "Healing doesn't always mean forgetting, Jenna. It means learning how to deal with the past and move forward." There was a new timbre in her voice, firm and resilient. Jenna's lips twisted as she leaned closer, a predator assessing her prey. "You think that's possible? Let's see how long that resolve lasts." Ellen felt her heartbeat quicken again. Jenna was not done yet. The bakery buzzed with an awkward silence, and all eyes turned between the fierce confrontation building and Sarah's defiance. "Maybe I should introduce my own surprise," Jenna said coolly, her eyes gleaming with mischief. "After all, this gathering needs a true attention grabber." A wave of unease swept through Ellen. Who could Jenna possibly bring in that would shatter their fragile unity? Just then, another gust of wind whipped through the open door, sending a chill that hinted at chaos on the horizon. Ellen steeled herself, knowing the coming clash could mean everything. "Jenna, whatever you're planning, we're stronger together," she said, trying to regain some control, but Jenna only laughed. "We're about to find out just how strong you really are, then." And with that, the door swung open yet again. The door creaked loudly, and a figure stepped inside, blocking out the dim light of the street. Ellen squinted as her eyes adjusted, and her heart raced at the sight of him. Mark, Jenna's brother. His face was pale, and his eyes darted around the room. It felt as if time slowed down, suspending the tension that had already thickened the air into a palpable fog. "Mark?" Sarah broke the silence, her voice a mix of confusion and surprise. Suddenly, the dynamic shifted again, and Ellen sensed the fragile balance hanging by a thread. Mark took a step forward, his hands raised. "I just came to see what was going on," he stammered, shooting a quick look at Jenna, whose expression was hard to read. Was she relieved? Angry? Whatever it was, it did not bode well for their small gathering. "What do you mean, what's going on?" Jenna snapped, frustration bubbling to the surface. She carried herself with a fierce energy, but there was an undercurrent of desperation. "You shouldn't be here." "Neither should you," Sarah challenged, her voice steady, but the tension in her shoulders was evident. "We're trying to figure things out, Mark. And I'm not allowing Jenna to derail that." Ellen felt the urge to intervene, to keep things from spiraling backward. "Guys, maybe we all need to just breathe for a second," she suggested, her heart pounding like a drum. "These past few months have been tough. We can talk together." Mark hesitated, glancing back at Jenna, who now looked like a storm ready to explode. Ellen could see the cracks forming in the tension-complex human emotions tangled with unspoken history. "Look, I didn't know what was happening, okay?" Mark said, his voice rising slightly. "I just found out about all of this. I don't even know why Jenna feels the way she does." He subconsciously leaned against the wall, almost seeking support amid the rising chaos. "Jenna feels betrayed." Ellen blurted out, feeling an odd sense of clarity. "We all feel that way. There's a lot at stake, and we can't keep living in the past or playing blame games." "Speak for yourself," Jenna hissed, her tone sharper than before. "You don't understand what it's like to be the one left behind." Maggie, catching the heated exchanges, tried to leap back into the fray. "We're all here now, aren't we? Let us focus on what we can build together instead of continuing this battle. Life is too short for this divide." Ellen felt the confrontation intensifying, recalling countless moments spent with these people. Love, disappointment, laughter, and pain, we had all shared it. "It doesn't have to be this way," she pleaded, her eyes darting around the room, capturing the pain etched on each face. Then Mark stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Jenna, I don't want to fight. I came here to understand why we're drifting apart." His gaze held vulnerability, raw and unguarded. Before Jenna could respond, there was a sudden, loud crash outside, causing everyone to jump. Ellen's heart raced as she glanced toward the bakery entrance, and she wondered what else would spill through that door. "What was that?" Sarah whispered, her eyes wide with fear. Ellen's chest tightened. "Maybe it's just the wind," she tried to assure them, though deep down, she knew it could very well be the storm brewing both inside and outside of the bakery. As everyone exchanged anxious glances, the reality dawned on them. They'd soon have to confront not just Jenna's dark secrets but the hidden truths that lay dormant in their hearts, waiting to explode. Could they face whatever new challenge awaited them outside, or would fear hold them back? The door creaked open wider, and all attention turned toward it, holding a collective breath. What awaited on the other side could change everything. Ellen stood, transfixed by Mark's unexpected arrival. Tension coiled in the air like tangled string, and every heartbeat was a reminder of how fragile their attempts to heal had become. As Mark stepped into the bakery, he wore an expression that was a mixture of concern and confusion. The air shifted, amplifying the quiet chaos building inside each person in the room. Ellen could feel it, the weight of unspoken truths hovering amidst the sweetness of lemon bars and camaraderie that had just begun to weave its way through their lives. "Mark, you need to understand," Jenna started, her voice taut as if it might snap. But before she could finish, Mark shook his head firmly. "No, Jenna. We need to understand each other. Not just keep pointing fingers." "Easy for you to say," Jenna shot back, her defenses rising once more. Ellen felt a surge of bile rise in her throat. There it was again, the old dynamics rising like stubborn weeds. "Jenna," Ellen interjected, her tone assertive but calm. "We can't ignore that we all hurt each other. It's time to be honest. But what's more important is that we have the chance to build something different." "Build what?" Jenna sneered, arms crossed defiantly. "A little bakery? A community event? It sounds so naive." Ellen took a deep breath, steadying herself against the fierce waves of Jenna's words, matched with the uncertain gazes of all in the room. "No, Jenna. It's about more than that. It's about us. The past doesn't have to define us. We can turn these moments into something meaningful. We can reconnect." The silence thickened, almost suffocating, until Mark stepped forward. "I used to look at you two as adversaries, but maybe that's the point. You've both struggled, and you've both lost. I want to understand how we can start fresh." We've all shifted. His presence radiated sincerity, and Ellen felt hope flickering like a candle flame. Jenna seemed taken aback, her expression softening at the acknowledgement. "Do we really have to face this?" She hesitated, the cracks in her armor widening, revealing a glimpse of uncertainty. "Yes," Ellen replied, her heart racing. "We owe it to ourselves and each other." With a small gesture, Ellen turned her head slightly, locking eyes with Sarah, who nodded slightly, her anxiety subsiding as a hint of solidarity glimmered between them. "Okay," Sarah said, her voice steadier now. "What if we start with how we really feel? I've spent too long feeling divided and scared. I want to heal, and I want to do it together." Jenna inhaled deeply, a soft tremor in her expression. The tension began to unravel slowly, like the warm dough Ellen kneaded daily. "But I don't know how to let go of that past," she admitted quietly. This time, Ellen stepped toward her, determination igniting a spark in her heart. "Then maybe we can learn together, Jenna. We can share our stories instead of hiding from them. What do you say?" Jenna looked around the room, her gaze landing on Mark and Sarah, and Ellen felt the electric moment stretch, hanging between them like an unopened gift. I want that," Jenna finally murmured, each word like a delicate thread. "But I need your help." The vulnerability in her voice struck Ellen, revealing fear beneath Jenna's bravado. After a moment of tension, Mark nodded. "We're here for that. Let us share our stories." He looked at Jenna, his eyes pleading for her to open up. The acknowledgement hung in the air, an unspoken agreement that perhaps this was the cornerstone for a renewed connection. As they settled around the small table, Maggie reached for the colorful box of lemon bars, gesturing to Ellen with an encouraging smile. "Let us sweeten the deal, shall we? Share some treats while we dive into the real stuff. You know, build a real community." As laughter gently quaked in the bakery, a warmth enveloped them. Ellen took a slice of the lemon bar and offered it to Sarah first before sharing with Jenna. Each bite seemed to coil together fragments of their lives, creating an unexpected ache of unity amidst the turmoil, a seamless blend of sweetness and acidity. Together, they began to talk about challenges, aspirations, fears, and the paths they had walked. The stories poured forth like river water breaking free from a dam. Ellen spoke of sleepless nights and doubts intertwined with her family's bakery, while Sarah recounted her own struggles, revealing vulnerabilities kept hidden for too long. Jenna confessed, pieces of herself spilling out, the weight of the past ebbing. Mark chimed in, connecting their stories to the shared experiences of loneliness and longing, the threads of their lives mingling until they finally began to weave a tapestry anew. Ellen sat back, astonishment filling her heart as each woman shared her story, how anger, jealousy, and hurt had tied them together before fracturing their bonds. Their laughter rang together, bright against the backdrop of shared pain and healing. In the end, she felt as if they had all stepped into the light, illuminated by understanding and compassion after dark days of misunderstanding. As the sun set, the bakery felt transformed, happy songs emerging from their shared space, filled with possibility. And amidst it all, Ellen knew one thing for certain: they weren't just baking pastries together anymore, they were all part of something larger, crafting a life that wove them together. The path forward wasn't entirely clear, but it shimmered with hope. Together, Ellen said aloud, sealing their promises with shared smiles and laughter, "Let us keep building something beautiful for us all." Ellen's heart swelled, filled with love and a sense of community that could withstand anything. As they closed out the day, she felt empowered, ready to take on whatever challenges the world may throw at them next. It was through these connections that they truly transformed, forging bonds that would last far beyond that day. Now, dear friends, if you felt that powerful transformation with us, if these collective journeys struck a chord in your own heart, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that could inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, because your support really makes a difference. And don't forget to comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share the stories that could change lives. Depend on each of you.